Well, happy Independence Day, Kevin. Welcome to How to Be a Texan. How's it going, guys?
Woohoo! Shooting off fireworks.
Woohoo! Well, happy July 4th. That's the one. That's the episode. We want to cover the basis of Independence Day for the United States of America. Isn't it great to be an American?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Texas was not really part of that whole movement back then, but I guess we joined on, as soon as we could get out of Mexico.
That's right.
Get that behind us, right?
Yeah. No, and then we had our independent self for a bit, and then we decided, hey, let's get part of this union thing. That sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and do that.
America looks pretty good. They need some help up there.
Yeah, they need a little help.
We said, hey, we said California, New York's probably going to drive them into the ditch, so we better get in there, give people a place to go.
That's a good question, though, just from a historical perspective. So was California already in the Union by the time we got into the Union? Was the gold rush already going? So the gold rush was, 1848? And then with California was part of that. In a huge land purchase. I don't know the answer
I just
to that.
Googled this. California joined the Union in 1850.
Okay. So the gold rush, I just remember from like 8th grade history, the gold rush was like 1848. So California came in 1850. And then we came in, I thought it was 1858.
No, Texas joined the Union in 1845.
1845. So Texas was there
according
first.
to Google here.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to the instant results of Google.
That's okay. That's okay.
Literally, this is what popped up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
December 29th, 1845. So I guess we were there 5 years earlier.
Okay. So California hadn't screwed it up yet before we got in.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess they said, "Hey, Texas is in. We'll join that party.
We'll join up too. All of us gold Russian people."
Well, anyway. I think we need to have a big round of applause for America.
America. Oh, nice. Way to go, America. Well played, my friends.
Yeah, just, huge. And then when Texas joined America, it was like this. It was like,
it's like, hey, kick it up a notch, baby.
Yeah, sorry.
That's so weird.
Playing with sound effects here.
I like that. Anyway, well, good. Well, so what does Independence Day represent for you, Kevin?
Well, I mean, number one, it's celebrating, when the U.S. declared independence from the old country. So, it's definitely a celebration of that, which I think was a very, very, very good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's that, but then also, just growing up, it's just always been a fun holiday. When I was a kid, I'd always want to go blow stuff up, shoot off fireworks or whatever. And now that I'm older, I don't care about that so much.
No,
and then there was a phase when the kids were growing up where we would take them to see fireworks every year.
Oh yeah, we did that.
So we went through that stage for a while, and now we just kind of just chill out and enjoy the time off. And
but you do
hang
more
out
than
with
that,
the family.
Though. You're like the pit master, and so what are you grilling up for the family tomorrow? Anything amazing?
Yeah, so I'm going to fire up it may not be amazing. It may be a disaster.
You always say that, and it turns out to be amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start the fire up like at midnight tonight, and then put a brisket on at like 2 a.m.
Okay.
And then get that brisket going, and then basically we'll have it for dinner tomorrow. That's what I'm thinking.
God, that sounds amazing. You and I were
But I picked up a brisket, and I also picked up 2 big old full racks of ribs, right?
Oh.
Not the small St. Louis cut, but a full.
Wow.
2 full racks, and so I got those in there too. So just gonna play it by ear.
All right. Well, let me know if y'all
we do.
Y'all have any extra, because I'll just be over here eating my peanut butter sandwich. So,
man, you gotta start. We gotta do some episodes where I teach you how to grill or barbecue or something.
Oh my gosh,
those would be fun episodes.
Well, we've talked for years now about creating a pit for the pig, and you were sending me videos on who to watch and who's the masters of really grill. I don't know. That's not smoking. That's just barbecuing the whole hog.
Whole hog barbecue.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
I mean, it's basically smoking. It's like old school style of smoking where you got everything right over the coals. But it's still up really high over the coals, so it's not like you're grilling it.
No, it's a long time at a generally medium heat, right?
Yeah. Low to medium heat.
Yeah. Nah, it's pretty amazing. I'd love to be able to do that, but
we're going to do that. We're definitely going to do that.
As Dirty Harry says, a man's got to know his limitations, and I certainly know mine. So,
well, you need to raise the pig, and then I'll cook it. How about that?
How about a whole?
And we'll have
whole calf. How could we smoke a whole calf? I'm not doing
That's
a pig.
Intense. Yeah, that's intense.
I don't know about that. Anyway,
I don't know about that.
Well, so happy 4th. And Andrew, happy 4th to you, man. What's going on over there?
I mean, I'm in the process of moving right now. So.
Hey, congratulations. Well, see, that's America right there, the freedom to move.
That's right.
Well,
I don't know. I guess if we're communists,
this whole podcast represents America. I mean, the freedom of speech.
Right.
I mean, imagine how much crap we say on here, and we have the freedom to do it. We probably shouldn't have the freedom.
And there's
to
not
say
like
all
a
this crap
public like thrashing when we say something that's insensitive, right? Nobody's going to come out with a bamboo stick and whack me in the back in the public square.
Yeah. Now, Kyle's being really modest, too. We all know what he's going to be doing this weekend.
Smoke some cigarettes, have some chicken fried steak, and drink some beer.
That's what Kyle's planning to do. But that's just a regular weekend. That's nothing special for the 4th, I guess.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, I thought let's talk about Independence Day for a bit, and then, we'll go back and kind of honor, the freedom process, and then talk about, kind of what typical Texans do during a 4th of July weekend. And then I thought we'd have a kind of a ranch update since we hadn't done that in a bit. Is that okay with you, Kev? Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Well, let's kick it back a notch and go back to our founding fathers. And so when I think of that, Amy and I are huge Broadway fans, and we were able to see Hamilton, which is, of all the Broadway shows that Amy and I have seen, and we've seen a ton, it is by far the best ever. So,
Kendra and I got to go with you.
Yeah. Well, I remember because y'all got tickets for it, and then we were seeing something else because we'd already seen it, and then y'all had an amazing experience too. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, so y'all did not go to Hamilton with us. Y'all split off and did a different show.
No, we had seen it, I think, the year prior. Right. We'd taken the kids for Caroline's Sweet 16, and we'd all seen it, and then we'd even seen it again at Broadway, and then you guys came with us, and then we saw, I don't know, Mean Girls or something fun, which was awesome.
Remember how excited I was on Broadway that day? You took my picture and everything.
You look like you had fleas in your beard. That's so great. I was looking at that the other day. I found out how to use Boomerang. Andrew, you know that app Boomerang, where you can take like a little 2-second fast clip, and it was your dad like scratching his beard, and that's all it was with like Times Square in the background. It was so hilarious. He just looked like he had fleas.
I thought there was one like with Yanni in the background.
Oh well,
yeah.
No, I got that one too. Yeah, no, I got some really good ones.
Andrew, the mistake I made was I think in DFW Airport before we flew out, I told Kyle about Boomerang and he installed it. So then like that whole trip was Kyle, playing with Boomerang and doing all this stuff. It was funny stuff, though.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. That's so anyway, okay, so going back, back to Hamilton. The reason that we liked Hamilton was because it was based on the biography of Alexander Hamilton, one of our founding fathers, and it just gives such great, accurate historical perspective of actually what happened over that, call it 20-year period. And just think about the bravery and strength of character that it took for all of those people at that time to break away from King George and Britain as, colonies and, smash the tea in Boston at the Boston Tea Party and rebel, even knowing that you're going to have, ships of British professional soldiers against a ragtag militia come up, and you've got the strength of the British Navy and just this incredible powerhouse nation that's been ruling over you since initiation of all the colonies. And I mean, it just blows me away the strength that it took, and and back then there was no communication other than it wasn't really called the Pony Express, was it? It was Paul Revere, and you'd ride around and tell each other, the British are coming, or one by land, two by sea, that kind of a deal.
Right.
But it took an entire revolution, and we won, and then. Just the brilliance of the founding fathers to create our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our three branches of the government, which you look back and it just really is remarkable how that has held up. Now, yes, there are logical flaws and things of that nature, but that's why you add to that over time, like, the Civil Rights Act and additional voting for women and things of that nature. But regardless, it was monumental what happened. The ability to start up a country.
Yeah, and they built the machinery. This is not my quote. I read it somewhere, but they built the machinery in for change, right? Which was never done with a government before.
No.
Governments before were very, rigid and top down and controlling, and they literally not only did they set up those institutions in a genius way. They also built the machinery so that change could happen, right? So that we could have, the civil rights movement and, women to vote and, the progress that has been made.
Right.
So that was really cool, and I think, I don't think those things would have been possible had they not, built that into the, foundation of how they structured the stuff, from the beginning.
No, I agree. It showed real humility. Especially for George Washington, who was just seen, as almost a human god. I mean, he was revered so highly because he was the general that put it all together, that beat the Brits off, and was beloved and respected. And so the thought was, well, you can be a president, a king, a monarch, whatever you want to be, for as long as you want to be it. And he's like, no, we need to ratchet this down and put terms on this. And ultimately, then he basically retired from the presidency. And it just showed real selflessness, even though you look at the bitterness between the parties. And there were really two parties back then, and which was nice because kind of the yin and the yang, and then they kept each other kind of honest around, was it federal control or states' rights? So those were the two big kind of camps, and so obviously Alexander Hamilton was in the federal control, and he created the U.S. Postal Office, the central bank, things of that nature, and so that
the dollar,
the dollar.
He created the U.S. dollar, literally,
right.
Yeah.
So it was just genius what they put together back then. So I'm grateful for that. As an American, we are able to benefit from what's been laid before us, and I'm extremely grateful for that, and don't take that for granted.
Yeah, it's very easy to take for granted if you don't understand the history, right? If you don't understand, what governments and kingdoms were, and just the oppression, that there was no opportunity to move up at all, right? No. You were born into a class, and that's pretty much, where you lived and died.
No, right? That's right. That's right.
And, it's pretty incredible. The thing with George Washington, too, is pretty amazing, right? Because the people had lived under a king for ever, right? So they just assumed, your average Joe out there just assumed, okay, well, now George is going to be the king. Now that we won, he'll be the king. And he's like, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
And then he also set the precedent of, stepping down, right? And peaceful transition of power,
right?
And all those things, right? So,
yeah,
one thing that, you can put the framework in place, but you also need men of character to operate within that framework, and that's what keeps the thing going, right?
No, that's right. And when you get people of bad character in, you have provisions so that you can remove them. So one of the things I told you I just got through reading this Clint Hill book where he's a Secret Service and he covered 5 presidents, and Nixon was one he covered. He was actually on the Spiro Agnew vice presidential detail, but it really covered, how Watergate went down and how Nixon really was forced. He was put in a position of real shame and corruption, and resigned. And so, but he would have absolutely been impeached had he not resigned. And so, it's brilliant how there are checks and balances in place that, our government has today. Again, I don't want to claim that there are no mistakes, but it is fantastic when you get people of poor character or corrupt people that there are ways to remove them from the system. So,
Yep.
Anyway, so how does that apply to Texas? And so, how do we as Texans celebrate July 4th, Independence Day? So how do you guys typically celebrate?
I actually have something to add before we move on from the history thing. Did y'all know that Texas actually had a role in the American Revolution?
No.
What was this, Andrew?
So in the 1690s, Texas became an official province of New Spain.
Okay.
And so in 1779, Spain had I guess this was after. Oh no, the revolution was still going on in 1779.
Oh
right?
Yeah.
So Spain declared war on Great Britain.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I can only assume because of Florida.
Well, France was the main ally with the rebels, and so it was the French Navy that really pinned the British Navy. And so when you look at the huge help, now Britain at the time was terrified at having a multi-front war, one with Spain and France and the rebels. And so they were doing everything they could at the time during the 1770s and 1780s to try to appease Spain, especially because they knew that a French war was coming. But yeah, no. So that's really interesting.
So
I just looked this up, though. It says
hold on.
that
There's more. There's more. So whenever the news of Spain's entry reached New Orleans, the governor of Louisiana, Bernardo de Galvez, who I can only assume Galveston is named after, he sent 7,000 troops to Florida, and then he sent an emissary to Texas to buy 2,000 cattle.
Oh, wow. So we helped feed the revolution.
Exactly.
Okay.
At least the Spanish front of it. So there you go. We were moving cattle.
Well,
I like that.
I'm showing that the American Revolution ended in 1783. And when did these events happen, Andrew?
He was saying 1779. So it was
89?
all during it.
79.
79. Yeah, so it was right smack in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you, Spain. There you go.
That's interesting. I always kind of knew that
Thanks
France
for the
was a
cows.
big ally of ours, and they sent us the Statue of Liberty and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't realize what role
The
Spain
Spanish
played
Spaniards,
through
yeah.
Texas.
No, that's
Very
good
cool.
stuff. Well, so when I think about, the 4th of July in Texas, I think of a lot of, beer drinking and barbecue eating and boat riding and wakeboarding and, all that. So it's like party central on the 4th because everybody gets an extra day or sometimes 2 days off on a long weekend. And so there's a lot. I mean, the Texas lakes are just jam-packed. Families get together for big barbecues, tons and tons of beer drinking, and, just lots of partying. And then all the fireworks shows are redonkulous. Now, I know that goes all across all the entire country. But, we've got some massive fireworks shows that are just awesome. And then you get these, thousands and thousands of these little mom and pop-up shops where you can buy fireworks. We got one literally a mile away that is, massive. You can buy every firework in the world, including the big shows. Have you ever done one of those, Kevin? Where
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We did that a few years ago. At Kendra's sister's house.
Yeah,
I think y'all came out there one
we
year to
came out
Kendra's
too.
sister's place.
Yeah, those things are awesome. Where you light it and it'll literally do a giant show for you over a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like
cool.
$60, and you can buy, like a 14 firework giant show, which is pretty awesome. So
you can't do it in Argyle, right? But that place is literally 1 inch over the city limit, I think.
Well, let's put it this way:
Right up.
Shooting fireworks in our town is prohibited, and most towns say you can't shoot fireworks, which is probably smart because people are stupid and. They go off and they shoot stuff, bottle rockets into people's faces or into their homes and start fires. And fireworks are terribly, terribly dangerous. Obviously, I'm not a big firework proponent, but they're fun to shoot. Most people will shoot them whether they're ordinances or not. So what we have is a real problem with our horses because horses freak out on fireworks. And so like tonight, tomorrow night, the next night, et cetera, we're going to really be watching and putting our horses up early and keeping them penned up because they freak out at the big fireworks. And our neighbors are terrible. They do giant fireworks with all the grandkids and all that, and it's just a hot nightmare. I mean, we're calling the police and whatever, but there's 4,000 police calls on July 4th night or July 3rd night. Everybody's shooting fireworks off, and so it's very, very hard to enforce. As you know.
Yeah, our horses are pretty calm with them. They're old now, and they're just kind of like, whatever,
Yeah.
But we don't really get too many around here, actually.
Oh, that's good.
People don't really blow them up. And in fact, I was talking to our neighbor on Thursday, and his daughter actually brought her horse back over here to leave it here over the 4th weekend because where she's at, there's tons of fireworks and it freaks her out.
Yeah.
But it's so much quieter over here.
I hope, we're 0.8 of a mile away, so I hope my neighbors are better this year than they have been because they've been terrible in the past where they're doing full shows.
Well, we've used to go out to Kendra's sister's neighborhood almost every year, and they live in Haslett, and it's really cool because just lots of like 1 acre properties, back to back to back, and very minimal fencing.
Right.
And everybody was blowing off those big shows and stuff, and you could just sit there, and it's like the best fireworks show you've ever seen because the whole neighborhood does it.
Yeah, and the kids can shoot off the black cats and all that, and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
You don't have livestock.
So that was our thing for a while when the kids were little. Mm-hmm.
I remember we went with y'all a couple of years. That was super fun. So that's fun.
That was awesome.
So that's
we did 1 year. They used to do them at the Flower Mound High School too for a while. And we had 1 year where they were shooting them basically right at our house. And we had a bunch of people over. I think y'all came over for that too back in the day.
Right.
A couple times. So that was pretty cool, except for the shrapnel landing on the roof. But
no kidding.
That was really cool.
Well, and then there have been plenty of years where the whole thing shut down, not because of COVID or pandemic, because of a fire ban. Because we've been in a major drought, and the worst thing you want to do is to start a fire. And so there have been many years where, at least in Texas, where there have been no fireworks shows just because of the massive droughts.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue this year.
No, I think we're pretty good.
It's rained almost every day this year.
Yeah. No, we've had a great spring. In early summer as far as, plenty of moisture. And I think our drought factors, in pretty good shape. But my gosh, you look at the West Coast, what a nightmare.
Oh, it's
Did you see all that in
the
Pacific Northwest where there were 117 degrees up in Portland? And I mean,
and it was raining here. It's almost like we kind of swapped weather with them for a week or two.
Or something.
It's really weird.
Maybe the pandemic caused that. You think so? Maybe COVID caused like a global shift or crust shift so that, maybe Portland's 117 degrees all the time now? You think that's
it's all COVID related.
COVID-19? Yeah. No. Well, you just don't know. I mean, that's so atypical of literally 117 degrees up in Vancouver and Portland.
It really is weird.
And there were 500 deaths over just heat. over the last week, which is just terrible. Anyway, but the point of that is they're in a terrible drought.
Well, and they don't have a lot of air conditioning up there. I mean, most of
Right.
the houses are built without AC, and that's true in California too.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember. I don't remember. I remember 113 2 days in a row in 1980. I don't remember, 115 to 117 degrees here ever. I don't remember that, and it's freaking hot here. Anyway,
Yeah, I think it got up to the one teens. It's maybe about 10 years ago when we were biking and stuff. I remember one summer I was out training a lot, and it was like 108, 109, 110.
Yeah,
Kendra was like,
no.
"Are you out of your mind?"
No,
said,
I remember the
actually,
110s.
I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You also went out. I remember one day you went out on a 30-mile bike ride on ice, and I was like, "You do know that your tire's like 8 millimeters wide, right?" He's like, "Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine."
And I was. It was no problem. I had no issue at all. In fact, the roads were fine. There was just some snow on the ditch, and Kyle freaked out.
Yeah, and black ice.
Went to the fetal position.
I did. Black ice everywhere. You called me and you're like, "Hey, let's go for a
Black
24-mile black ice bike ride." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life."
Yeah, like I labeled it the black ice event.
You did. No, I did. You said, "Hey, I'm going to go for a bike ride. You want to go?" And I'm like, "No, because I'm not suicidal." So
Man.
anyway,
That was a good ride, actually.
I'm sure it was. Glad I wasn't with you. Anyway,
It was either that or 110. But on a normal day, good luck getting me out there on a bike.
it's not going to happen. Anyway, well, good. Okay, so that's July 4th in Texas. There's a lot of partying, and I wouldn't call it very reverential to our freedom process. So I think it's good for us just to look back and say, why are we thankful, to have the freedom that we have? And I hope more families at least take a bit of a time out. It's interesting because you have Memorial Day, and you have the same kind of thing where you have a 3-day weekend and people are partying and on the lake and skiing and drinking beer and all that. And all these families that have lost, sons and daughters or fathers and grandfathers in the wars, they say, well, how dare you not honor the holiday for what it is, a Memorial Day to honor our fallen, who've served our country. And, you kind of have the same, at least I do, the same perception around the July 4th, where it's almost like you just need to take a bit of a time out as a family just to say, what is this date for? Why do I get this day off work? And, oh, by the way, this is awesome that we're free and we're not, in a caste society, or we're not in a communist society or a socialist or whatever. We have the ability to go out and drink beer and ski and barbecue and vote and be entrepreneurs and whatever. Or hobos. We can do whatever we want because we're a free country, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, There's my rant for the day.
So then what are you doing? We talked about what I'm doing. What are you doing this weekend?
Drinking beer, skiing, barbecuing. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing any of that.
All in your backyard.
Yeah,
You're
no.
going to be
I'm going to be
driving your neighbors crazy.
I'm going to put my little butterfly wing on floaties, and I'm going to get in the pool and kick around a little bit. Probably get on my mower and mow. Mowing for me is therapeutic, so I like to get on.
I thought you were going to have a bonfire. I had recommended a bonfire activity for you over this weekend.
Yeah, tell me again what that was, because I was telling you. You called me yesterday and said, "Hey, let's do this," and I said, "Well, I can't. I'm working on my manure spreader." And so I ordered this. It was $200, and I had to get a new skirt. It was 2 chains. So I had to get this new part, and it's 2 giant chains with these connectors between it. And so I had to cut off with this whatever metal cutter, my old chains. And anyway, a manure spreader it's something you kind of hook behind a tractor or something, and you fill it up with manure, and then you go around the pasture, and it just kind of spreads, just flings all this crap all over the place. Well, anyway, I've had this thing for 10 years, and these chains broke, and so I've got to repair it. So anyway, I was out.
Well, my question was, why don't you just drag it the way I do? That was my first question.
Well,
right?
because we corral our horses, and you don't. And so we've got mounds and mounds of crap in the corrals that we scoop every day.
Which I think you referred to as S Mountain on the call yesterday.
Yeah, I did. Because the manure spreader's broke. So Caroline, my daughter's been creating this manure mountain out behind our barn. And so that was the impetus of why I'm fixing my manure spreader. And you're like, oh, well, that's an easy solution, Kyle. I'm like,
yeah. So like manure is very flammable. Just dump some diesel on it and throw a match on there and problem solved.
Yeah, but you also
and I said you could even have the kids invite their friends over to roast marshmallows.
Yeah.
Or you could even do your 4th of July hot dog roast. Do a weenie roast over your manure mountain.
Giant manure mountain that I set aflame. And we're going to roast weenies and roast marshmallows for our s'mores over the crap fire.
So not only did I solve your manure problem, I also, took care of your 4th of July cookout all in one shot, right?
Yeah, can you imagine that? You're picking your s'more up to put it, in your mouth, and you look down at the little brown fleckles, and you're like, oh, is that a Hershey's chocolate bar? No.
Chocolate chips?
No, that's manure.
No, little Johnny, that's not chocolate chips.
It's going to have a little different aftertaste.
It's good for you. It'll build your immune system
Protein.
up, little Johnny.
No, that's terrible. That was the worst advice I've gotten in a long time. So
that was genius.
But anyway, so okay, enough about July 4th. How about the ranch updates? So you give some of yours, I'll give some of mine. We haven't updated our many listeners about ranch updates in a while.
No, I mean, we're doing pretty good over here. We got, still 3 new baby chickens that Kendra hatched in her classroom.
Oh, so, that's cool. Okay, good.
Yeah. And, back in the day, we used to think, we had to, separate the babies from the existing flock and incorporate it and all this stuff. And what we've learned over the years is you don't have to do any of that. That's just humans being stupid. So the last 2 times.
But the theory there is that if you put the baby chickens or the small chickens in with the mature ones are going to beat the crap out of the babies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's stupid. I shouldn't use that word. It's just, that's not true.
Brain dead.
And and so I'll edit that part. But what we've seen over the years is actually, the hens they're just like horses. You put horses together, they're going to establish a pecking order.
Oh.
Right?
So they don't
That's why it's called a pecking order. It's the same thing.
So they don't kill the babies.
No, they actually take them under their wing, literally, and they teach them. And so,
I'm not sure
so these little babies.
Scientific advice, because I've seen them where I think they really have pecked them.
No, I'm telling you, we've done it the past. Maybe you got killer psycho chickens or something, but yeah, the past two sets of babies we've brought
They've
in.
Done okay.
Yeah, you got to let them get big enough to where they
can protect
you still have to keep them in the incubator and all that kind of stuff. But once they get big enough,
okay,
we put them out there and they kind of self-incorporate, and it actually works out really well.
Self-incorporate chickens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got those three little babies rocking around
Okay.
now, and
that's good.
Still getting tons of eggs out of the others, so that's good. And then I finally got on the ball with the pasture, management, and hired
your pasture looks fantastic.
A professional.
My gosh, it looks fantastic.
So tons and tons of grass between that, treatment that we've been doing, and then all the rain.
Yeah, but
we've got more grass than we've had
last year, Kevin,
forever.
I just remember coming over there and mowing. Or maybe it was 2 years ago, but it was just all little yellow flowers everywhere. And no grass, all these little weedy flowers. Which were terrible.
Those had gradually built up over maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And each year they were getting worse and worse. And I finally said, you know what? Yeah, I need to take care of that. So we've had a couple of treatments on that, and that's all looking really good. So I feel really good about that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Then your horses.
So that's going on. I built some garden boxes that we haven't used yet, so but at least I built them. And then I've got on my to-do list, I got to build a new chicken coop. Ours is just about to crumble. It's not crumbling, but the doors are kind of wonky.
No, that A-frame that you built a long time ago, that's a fantastic chicken coop.
Yeah, the frame is still solid as a rock, man, but the doors and hinges are all a little wonky.
Okay.
And we need a little more space, and Kendra wants kind of a big walk-in with a big run and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you need to look at mine, because I built one over Christmas. I had to replace the one that I found off Pinterest, and I put it on a trailer. I had bent that axle on that old trailer. And so I built one out of pallets with, which was fantastic, with these egg boxes, laying boxes on the exterior. And,
it looked beautiful. Looked
it was
exactly
good.
like something that should be put on Pinterest.
No, it was good. It was good. And then I had my chicken run around my garden and all that. And so I've moved away from both those. So I went with a permanent structure, one that's not movable. So I've got it elevated a foot off the ground, which was a mistake. It's a logic gap on my part. But we wanted shade. Amy and I wanted shade for the chickens, so we put it a foot off the ground. And it's a big structure, so it's probably 12 by 7 on the interior with tons of, like, chicken bars across so they can get up off the ground. And then I've got my 6 laying boxes. And, again, this is a Pinterest idea that I found, that I put these paint buckets with kind of the fake the putt-putt grass inside the paint buckets.
Oh,
and then
it's a great idea.
You put that up, and so the chickens go in and lay on that, and then it rolls down, and I've got a cover over where the paint reservoirs go for those 6 paint pans.
Oh, man,
and
I haven't seen
so
that
it
part.
rolls
I saw
down.
the structure.
Yeah, so it rolls down into that so that they can't basically peck their eggs. So as soon as they lay, it rolls down to the paint reservoir, which is covered. And then every night I go in and I raise up the cover, and I pick all the eggs out, and it works out really, really nice. Except, of course, when there's a big chicken snake in there, which that happened 5 weeks ago today. So,
really?
Yeah, it was the day before I went in for my second knee replacement, and there was a 4.5, 5 foot chicken snake behind my second chicken paint pan reservoir. And it was 9 o'clock at night, and I go in there, and I'm like, oh, crap. That's the last thing you want to do before I'm going off the grid. Anyway, so I go in there, and I push on it. He does that little fake, rattle, which these big king snakes, rat snakes, whatever you call them, they do that, and they kind of mimic the rattlesnake. And so, it was one of those kind of fight or flight, moments in my life where I'm like, I could just let him go and not worry about it, or I can go ahead and kill him. And so I went ahead and ran back over to I didn't run because I was 8 weeks on the other side of my left knee replacement, so there's no running involved. But I took the golf cart.
This was the night before your other one?
The night before my second knee, the right one. This was 5 weeks ago. And so I golf carted over to the barn, got a shovel and these giant chompers, kind of bush chompers, and then I went and I pulled that big 5 foot rat snake out, who was not happy that I was pulling him out of this egg dish, and put the shovel on top of him. He's striking at my shovel and my feet, and then I got my clompers and whacked his head off. So there wasn't a putting a boot to it. There was I literally cut his head off, and it was so gross.
You took like your hedge clippers and just clipped his head right
That's
off?
right. That's right. It was more of the clompers, though. I don't know what you call those. They're not they're the big. The little bitty sharp, I can't remember what you call those, though. But they cut, up to like 2-inch, whatever.
Like branches and stuff. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I got that, and it worked quite well for cutting the snake head off. Now, the gross thing is that snake had been in there all day, clearly, and it had probably 5 eggs in his belly. And so as soon as I do all this damage to it, all those eggs broke, and so all this yolk and crap starts coming out of him, which was quite gross. So I got blood and egg yolk like flying out of this dead headless snake, which was kind of gross from an image perspective.
Wow.
And so then I have the option of, like, do I tell my wife or do I not? And I thought, again, it's one of those life choices.
Well, why was that even a thought? Why not?
Well, because I'm about to go kind of under the knife, and I can't go back out to the chicken house for a while. And they have to go out and get the eggs every evening. And do I tell them that I just killed a gigantic snake in there? And the fact of the matter was I couldn't avoid it. So I told them, and they were all like, oh, my gosh, anyway. So they're like, I'm never going to the chicken house again. I'm like, well, that's just part of having chickens, is you're going to get chicken snakes. And I wouldn't normally, and so all you snake lovers out there, I normally wouldn't kill a chicken snake because they're really quite good. They eat all the rats and mice and whatever. They're really good. Like shout
out to PETA.
Yeah, shout out to PETA. We got one last year in the barn, and we just threw it out, and it was another 4-footer. But this was a 5-footer in the chicken house eating the eggs, and a real threat. So I had to kill it. So
interesting.
Anywho.
Well, we have a little bit of a sad update. We did lose a pup a few weeks ago.
That's right. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Joey. What a sweet boy. So sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Still got the other two.
That's a huge blow. Losing a dog is, and especially somebody that's been around and faithful companion like Joey. I'm just so sorry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, what about you? What updates do you have other than snake killing?
Yeah, just the snake killing. We've had a lot of chicken dying. So we got this new dog, Boo, the Bernie Doodle, and we found out, that she is schizophrenic in that she's the happiest, friendliest dog ever until there's a free-range chicken out. And then she is literally Jekyll and Hyde and the most efficient chicken killing machine ever. She killed 6 chickens almost like instant, like Tasmanian devil style, like sport kill. Not just like, oh, well, I can do it. So she did because she's amazingly fast. And so we've learned that we have to keep our chickens up. Caroline's home from college with the 3 horses. I've got more cows, so I've got 5 cows now, and Alice, my pet cow, is over with Big Daddy getting bred again with her baby Mel. And so anyway, we've got, we got all that. I did lose 4 hives during Ice-Mageddon on the bee front.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, they froze to death. The ones out in the woods that were exposed, I thought I had them insulated well enough, but I didn't. The ones back by the hay bales all survived, which was
How
really...
do you insulate those?
Well,
Put some blankets over it or something?
Yeah, you either put hay around them or... in this case, I put towels and blankets all over them, but it wasn't nearly enough. And so when I went out literally the Sunday after the -3 temperatures broke, went out and sure enough, all 4 of those hives out there were frozen to death. It was just so incredibly sad. Some of the beekeepers are so dumb. I saw this where they brought them in the house and put them like in a closet. I'm like, how does that work? How do you put a beehive in your closet? But anyway, I literally saw that. So
how does that work?
Well, it doesn't. It's dumb. You're bringing 10,000 bees inside your house that at 75 degrees, they're going to be very happy and go exploring. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. No,
That's crazy.
You leave them where they're supposed to be. So,
yeah.
And then I got a rejection yesterday. So I'm on all these police department and sheriff's departments for calling out. Somebody called me 2 days ago and asked me to come out and save some bees from their house. And this is really the first time I've just outright said no. They were 25 feet up in the air. I would have had to destroy this guy's house to get in there to get them. And I just said, look, I just had 2 knee replacements. I can't get up that high. And 2, I don't want to tear your house up. So he was unhappy with me. So cows, bees, chicken, death. I don't know. That's probably enough.
Snakes,
yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, so we keep it lively around here. No deaths on the pet front, thank goodness. So we're all okay still. 2 cats and 3 dogs strong. So
very good.
Yeah, all good. Okay. Well, hey, we appreciate you guys listening to us, and happy 4th for everybody. Happy America Freedom Day.
America.
All
right. Look us up on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, all the other services, Spotify. Leave us a review. Adios.
Adios.
Bye.